All right. Hi, everyone. As established, I'm Michael, and this is...
And I'm Michael.
We have a pretty easy open and going. If you want to be part of our team at Alpha Omega, it's super easy. Your name is Michael. We don't care what you came in as. Your name will be Michael when we're done. So we're going to talk to you today about Alpha Omega. We've been working on this with our spiffy new T-shirts. Thank you, Michael. Since 2022. And our mission, and we keep sort of refactoring and rewriting this, but our mission is really, simply put, we can put a lot of words here, but we're, as I said, turning money into security. And we're doing, an effort to sort of act now. And if you think about the OpenSSF, there's an awful lot of amazing work happening in the working groups that is effectively designing and planning our future. Right? It's building technologies. I've seen Bob talking earlier on about SigStore that will make it possible for us to do a better job of securing our supply chain through various automation, through insights, through vulnerability analysis, all these different techniques. But we wanted to help out right now. And Microsoft and Google together put some money into a pool and said, let's go do things right now, and then ask Michael and Michael to figure out how to do that. And sort of the end state, I think this is a shared vision for a lot of the OpenSSF, but it very much applies to what we're doing, is that the most critical projects are actually secure. Secure is always a sort of very variable, open-ended space. What does that mean? Well, it means a lot of things in terms of how the project is maintained, how it operates, the culture within that. But also, vulnerabilities are inevitable, so how one's able to respond to vulnerabilities becomes part of the profile of a security. So we want to be able to fix those two things.
Because at the end of the day, you're basing your business, your applications, your livelihood on the quality of the components that you build in. So really what we want to engender is trust in the underlying software that you're using. So that's kind of the end state of what it means to be secure, is that you sleep well at night believing that that these components and libraries and things are safe.
Very much so. One of the things I like to sort of explain in terms of what are the risks in software supply chain? And one is sort of correctness, which is really about the vulnerabilities. Is it working the way it's supposed to, or does it have things inside there that allow attacks? And I don't care about whether it has a bug that causes, some commenting system not to comment anymore. I care that if a bug in the commenting system allows somebody to do sort of identity takeovers, things like that, that's a vulnerability. Availability, and these are very much taken analogous from actual supply chain work. Availability is your warehouse. Can you get the parts you need to make your software? How many people here have a build system that pulls things from the internet live? Go on, put your hands up. All of you put your hands up, because you have one even if you don't know it, right? Your availability situation is terrible. I can use, which one example should I use, Rob? Should I talk about LeftPad? That's the oldest one in the book, right? But Faker.js and Color.js, where somebody decides to take their toys and throw them out of the pram because they're unhappy with the state of open source in some way, right? How many of you maintain a local copy of either the artifacts or the source code of everything you depend upon? Anyone? Really?
Of everything.
Come on. Yeah, you believe you do. Turn off the internet and do a build and see what happens, right? Right? And then integrity is about tampering. Can anybody make a change to what started out as source code on its way to production? And that's where Bob's work on SigStore is really critical. So when we think about Alpha and Omega, we have really two efforts. I'm going to let Michael talk about these two.
Sure. So Alpha, so there are super critical components, however you define critical. And the conversation from the last talk notwithstanding, you could I think we all agree that there are some components that are more important than others.
Mine are more important.
Right. So however you look at this, you could think of it as a graph, and there's going to be a smaller part at the top edge of it, which are the very most critical. We've defined Alpha to be around 100 components. These are the things that everyone depends on broadly, that a critical vulnerability or a severe compromise would take out a very large portion of, say, society. We want to effectively ensure that those are really secure. And the way we do this is by basically turning money into security. So we've worked with a number of foundations, and we have one to announce today, where we are effectively hiring a security champ on behalf of, we're giving money to the organization to hire a security champ to basically figure out exactly what their security posture is, how to improve it. We're not we're not taking a super direct prescriptive approach and you must do X, Y, and Z. We want the foundation, the organization itself, to look inward, understand what their posture is, how do things work for them, and then do that. It's an experiment, though. As we go through this first year, we're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. We will do more of the things that work well. We'll do less of the things that work not well.
And the original idea for Alpha is still lurking in our minds. Also, is we will have security researchers and engineers on our teams directly engaging with key projects and doing that sort of work with them. As a theme that will come up in this talk multiple times, we're hiring security engineers and analysts. Turns out they're hard to find. I don't know why. There seems sort of like a demand in this space now or something like that. Makes no sense to me. But Alpha is about picking high points of leverage that are leveraged because they have either broad access to impact or criticality in terms of what we want to be able to do. So I'm going to go to the next slide.
And then Omega is the other side of the spectrum, where there are roughly 3 million open source packages available through the major ecosystems. Even there, we can't focus on 3 million. We've been describing it as about 10,000 projects. That next thing, the next 10,000 on the list. And can we apply really good security tools and expert triage, which means humans, to basically do everything that a tool can do and advance the state of that, and then work with the maintainers to actually fix the vulnerabilities. So we are finding new 0 days, we are reporting them, we are getting them fixed. Or essentially, you can look at this as almost cleaning up the ocean in some way, because
it's like the Pacific garbage patch cleanup.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. And I think this is where automation is key, right? How can we scale up our approaches to find things at scale, to make the human triage something that can scale, because we're not going to be able to hire thousands of people to triage these. It's also dragging into the conversation the challenge of how do you fix things at scale? And so we will look at additional experiments in terms of how we might be able to have partner with organizations who can come in and essentially say, we will help fix things. Because one of the most awkward conversations is you call up some maintainer and say, I found a really horrible 0 day. And they're like, I'm really busy right now, I can't talk to you.
Yep.
And we don't even need to know why. We understand, right? It's very hard to have other people causing work for you, especially in sort of a lightly funded environment, shall we say.
And the nice thing about Omega actually is that it's in parallel to lots of other efforts. So if you think of it in a perfect world, maintainers are running these tools themselves. They're fixing. They don't have anything else for us to find. So if work dries up from Omega, that would be a great scenario where it's all just built into the fabric of how these things are developed in the first place. So, but until that day, having a baseline level of this analysis is happening broadly for you, and it's not a opt-in thing. We are going after packages and looking and then reporting.
And I think that there's a playbook here, right, in terms of Alpha and Omega. And I think one of the things that we're learning, right, we're not just sort of individual techniques or what works in one place or another, but like the whole approach of Alpha Omega. And so if you think of it, we've got sort of the top areas we think we can do with Alpha, and the next 10,000 we can think of. That's sort of an industry-wide perspective. What we're also now looking at is how can we go into various verticals and apply the same playbook. So in industry verticals where their top 100 projects are different, right? Their needs are different. They're no less important. And so, taking that playbook, being able to say, hey, we did this really well for a general set of things. Can we go now and apply the same technique? And that'll be different engagements, because either the sort of, industry vertical might have a foundation that drives a bunch of things, but the projects don't necessarily have the same sort of language or ecosystem-based model. They sort of show up in a variety of different ways. Great. We'll figure out how to fund those things and move forward there too. All right. Hey, we have news.
We have an announcement.
All right. That's it. We're good, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
So first announcement, welcome Anna. Anna couldn't be here today, but Anna has joined our team as a program manager, and a huge shout out to Citi, and in particular John Nettis at the back there. We have to say, everyone go back John and ask him for more help for program management. Apparently he's got it there. So I was like, that was not in the script, and we said, script? What script? So Anna has already joined the team, been helping out. Just for clarity, Michael and I have day jobs, and then we have our other jobs, and this is our other job, but it's the one we like the most. And Anna helping out has made a huge difference already, so we're very grateful to have her on the team. And so let's take a little step back in terms of like, how have we actually, what have we done so far? What have we made a difference on? And let's start with this. You want to take this one out?
So the node engagement that we have for Alpha was our first engagement, started in, I believe it was April. And this was as an experiment. We didn't really know exactly what to expect as we wrote the check. We took a little bit of trust that they would share a vision of where they want to be.
To go Midwestern state-sized house of trust,
yes,
right?
Yes. And they've been doing great. So they've been reporting every month. They issue a pull request into our GitHub repo, so you can see exactly what they're doing. But the big thing, so they get lots of vulnerability reports through, I think it's through HackerOne. They have someone on staff. They hired 2 contractors to be doing this work. So they've been triaging them. They've been issuing security releases. They've been improving the actual the actual release process for Node. They've had a Node security working group that they had a few years ago, and I think it kind of died off, and they reinvigorated that to the point that they're actually doing substantive improvements to the Node ecosystem.
I love this one. This is great.
Yeah, exactly. So these are all, they're building, vulnerability checking into their CI, which they didn't have before. They're doing a threat model for Node, and that'll help them communicate with researchers on what they think of as a security vulnerability. And even to the point of an experimental permissions model. So this would be, if you include left pad doesn't need access to network, so you don't give it access to network, and therefore, in the future, if it changes, that's a runtime error. So we're really happy with this, and this is going to continue going on.
And the Node work really proved to be a template for us to start playing out in terms of what we're doing. The key point of which actually is people are like, well, what kind of terms should we write? And the lawyers all get involved, and we're like, we're going to give them money, and they're going to tell us about it. And that has been the playbook, and it's actually remarkably, low friction. And part of our success, I think, has been about reducing friction every step along the way. So another investment was with the Eclipse Foundation. And hilariously, Mike McKimmich from Eclipse and I had known each other for like a long time, and then suddenly bumped into each other in these various contexts. And they came to us with a shovel-ready set of efforts. They had things they wanted to do, they had people they wanted to hire, and we're like, great, here's some money, go do those things. And within, I think even before the check had cleared, they were already doing that work. And so Scorecard, if you haven't heard about Scorecard already, Scorecard is a tool, it's an open source project for evaluating the state of your project's security practices. It doesn't look at your code, doesn't know much about your code, but it looks at your repo, looks at two-factor auth and fuzzing and things like that, and there's various ways to sort of report a scorecard. And it helps you as an organization or maintainer understand what you could be doing and best practices, and it helps users consuming your project understand what your practices are and make their own decisions about their security needs as well. It's very much sort of sunshine is the best disinfectant, right? And so they are applying Scorecard across all their projects, identifying workflows already, made changes, and they have a whole bunch of changes they're planning around their sort of branch and tag rules. They have, we're at 5 minutes? We're going to take much more than that, I'm sorry.
They're in between you and Guinness.
Yeah. I'm buying, right? One of the unique things about the Eclipse project is that they actually have a fairly sort of direct control over a large number of their developer workflows. So they are, different foundations have very different styles. Some of them are very much the maintainers. Others are just a governance body. Eclipse sort of straddles that, has a fairly active engineering team building out and common infrastructure for their teams. We saw that as a very exciting point of leverage. So with Krob's reminder, I will keep cranking along. You want to take this one, too?
For Python Software Foundation. This is almost over the finish line. We pre-announced this in Austin, but the plan is for them to hire a security captain, complete a security audit of PyPy, and essentially do similar things that we have for Node and Eclipse, but for both PyPy and CPython. So we're really excited about.
I'm going to keep going because I got the message that we're running late. We have another announcement, and we'd like to bring someone up on stage. Is there someone we can pull from the audience? Come on up. So we're really excited. This has been, actually came out of the last OpenSSF meeting. There's a microphone here if you want to come and speak. And so we're going to be putting money into the Rust Foundation. We're super excited about that today. Yay! And just say anything you want.
Thank you. Well, thank you. No, we are super excited about this. The great thing that came out of the Austin Summit, we had a lovely conversation. We are getting cash, always great. But the really exciting thing is that some of our partners are we're using this to leverage their resources into the project as well. So our partners, JFrog, who have just come on board as platinum members to the foundation, JFrog are actually donating a security researcher to us as part of this project as well. So
that is awesome.
Not only do we get the security person, we get the resources from JFrog. We've got 2 other partners that I'm not allowed to say because lawyers, but we're hoping that they're going to contribute to the project as well. So we're going to have this huge ecosystem of security interested people that hopefully will help the Rust ecosystem grow up securely and safely.
That is fantastic. And I actually really want to build on what you said, because we were talking about this earlier on in terms of like, what is how does Alpha Omega play out over time, right? And we're planting seeds, bootstrapping things, starting to create cultures and improving security, but also creating a space in which it becomes a sustainable model for the organization, becomes part of their natural funding process, right? Like, we will continue to support things and drive things forward. We're going to be here next year, right?
We will come back next year and tell you what we've done.
Exactly. But, we wanted to start becoming the norm for how organizations like yours are able to grow and raise their needs, because it should become part of the normal process, not oh my God, we need help for this. But to start, this is what we're doing. Again, thank you very much. This is awesome. Yay! As we're running out of time, because Krab is giving me the evil eye now, and everybody's thinking about Guinness, we don't have a final announcement to say here, but we've been talking to jQuery folks. You might have heard of it. It's a small little library people use on the internet somewhere. I think we're, certainly a target-rich environment for making things more secure. They came to us as well. Pretty excited about the opportunity here. It's a very different problem, right? jQuery has a very different release dynamic. It gets copied a lot. There's all kinds of interesting technical problems here about how to make jQuery more secure. We're really excited about this as an opportunity. And so with that, I'm going to keep cranking along.
For Omega, real quick, we do have the tool chain that we developed to do this analysis is now public. You're welcome to try it out. Please try it out. Please send feedback. It's been successful in finding about 10 vulnerabilities. Important to note, we haven't actually hired the security researcher, so this is all experiment stuff. Other, yeah, the 5th one, yeah.
Right. That's how it works.
Yep.
What have we done? It's great. What's next? I think we hinted at that already. This is what you ask. This is DALI?
This is DALI, yeah.
When you say turning money into security,
yeah.
8-bit, which I think is a great way, because Krab is now definitely giving me like that. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, we recently added SOS.dev, which is a project that Google initially founded. It is essentially the super scaled thing of allowing individual contributors to get paid for fixing vulnerabilities in open source projects like that. And we're just still working with them to kind of integrate in there, but we're really excited about the opportunity that represents as well. All right. Mention we're hiring. We're hiring. If you want a job, we have a great job. And if not, come to the working groups. We have a monthly discussion with Alpha Omega. There's a Slack channel. Jump in. And then just drop us a note. We'll be around outside if you want to chat. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Yay.